Hello, friends. Hello, loyal audience. Hello, fans. Excuse the setup. It's a little bit. Uh, Here we go. All right. So now I have no choice but to make another video on commentary and hindsight and retrospect. So, and then I'm going to call it 13A because these are corrections and added ideas on what I observed. Like I said, I can observe so much here and bring up so many notices or observations here. However, eventually I'm going to stop. But here is a couple of very important notes I would like to add here. Although you may think my commentary now cancels out my theories and my uh, deductions early on, but no, everything here goes in the mix. But there is corrections and improvement. That's why I call it hindsight and retrospect is what I'm trying to say here, right? Okay, so here we go. Sorry, I'm gonna have to. All right, so here, Ash, as you noticed earlier in the, when they were all, on the Last Supper, right, table, like you got three, and then you got three, the human side and the other side. Whether the other side is non-human is what I subscribe to, but they could be humans with blue color. Meaningly, there is that isolated cancerous lesion that is challenging the humanity as is. And then the death of Dallas, right, uh, 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 is decapitation of humanity, right? However, it wasn't decapitated because Dallas fathered so many children, right, which are the humanity, right, humanity. And at the end, they took his sperms, which are blue, and then eventually when if you noticed or observed in my video uh, about cutting across, when I thought I was going to be blocked, I tried to publish as much as possible. So I cut across and went all the way to the end, but briefly, right? So that is that. But then eventually they take his children, and when the ship exploded, only the blue color remained. And the explosion, if you noticed, all colors, white, brown, yellow, blah, 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 everything dissipates or disperses or vanishes into space, and the only thing that remains at the end is really Ripley in the shuttle, right? Which is really the helm of this humanity, blah blah. Uh, 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 that's where Dallas was, right? And then Dallas, in my opinion, is Adam, but he could be a God, as they're supposing here. So here I got few notes to make, but then I explained to you that this is Prophet Muhammad, but they see him as a superior supernatural entity, not Dallas, not Ripley, right? So there's the male and the female deities, right? So that's how they see him, because he was, you could thank him for what we have in the new world now, right? And humanity and rising humanity almost from dust to stardom, right? To stars. But nonetheless, I'm going to have to make that commentary continuing on. So now he realizes that he's been taken down, right?
Definitions of morality. But I've heard enough of this, and I'm asking you to pull the plug.
So, as you saw, Parker has an enemy in him, right? And if you recall from my previous videos, that when he was sitting in his place, that is the place of leadership, unseen or behind the scene leadership. So here they're attributing qualities to him that are similar to Parker himself, the fallen angel and stuff, but that's the other side of the family. Maybe Archangel Gabriel or something of the sort. But they showed him bowing down to Satan. I explained it back then as what I understood from history or the Quran and so on, as you know, the fallen angel was what we call, what is called the peacock of angels, meaning the head angel, right? But they are trying to put down, Parker, who is Azazel in this instance, right? And they have names for him like Iblis, right? Uh, uh, and there are names for him like Iblis and so on. So now he is talking to Ripley, who is Sarah, right? And he is really wants to end that ash completely, as you saw. Let's try that again.
I've heard enough of this, and
See, look here.
I'm asking you to pull the plug.
Did you see pull the plug? And then now Lambert here, I do believe it's humanity, not just Eve, right? That's humanity. And she's obviously, as you can see, she's distraught, but she's paralyzed. You know, she's demented completely. You know, in a state of trance, as you can see, right? Give me a second. Right? You see, she's in a state of trance. You know, like unable to fathom what's going on, and see that she is completely at loss, right? Uh, but maybe it's also the feeling of helplessness, right? So that helplessness means all that is happening is outside of her control. But here comes something very important. Last word. So he's gonna make her day, right? By telling her about the xenomorph. Notice. She's totally in, you know, she just doesn't like him, basic and simple, right? I mean, this is like to say she doesn't like him is an understatement. This here is hate.
I can't lie to you about your chances.
They're saying here that he's a liar. You know, I can't lie to you. When he said I can't lie to you, that is making the assumption, or subliminal insertions, I call them, that he, the prophet, lies, but that's not the case. That's not true. And that here, the probe is broken. Now he has no lineage. They killed his lineage. It's funny, you know, that it was Lambert, right? Who is the humanity that he is representing. So here, there is misunderstanding and, you know, like misleading and misunderstanding and inability to figure out what and so on. So Lambert, which is a humanity, or yeah, I don't know, call them what the Arabs, you know, they herd sheep and so on, that they don't understand they're killing their source of strength here. They're destroying their source of strength.
You have my sympathy.
So he's smiling here because really, I mean, he's telling her the truth that you're gonna beat him, you know, the xenomorph, or what they make an assumption as God. Well, no, she's not going to do that, right? You have his sympathy because he knows what is going on in the nature of beings and the nature of creation and so on. Remember, you know, if you read, you know, like went about his literature, which will take you years before you even get anywhere, right? You will understand what he's talking about. So here, she didn't appreciate his sarcasm, but she is angry, you know, as you can see, she's angry. Excuse me. All right. So she's gonna blow up the ship, and here the ship is whatever is remaining of it. Now notice she is looking down at Lambert, and Lambert is totally basically paralyzed and in total loss. I said that before, right? But notice the darkness here. Well, that's my camera. Excuse me. So if I did this, right, you will see, I don't know what to do with this. Whenever I block the light, you know, I get the better screen. Anyways, you see what I'm talking about. So now she looked at her.
We'll take our chances in the shuttle.
Okay, so now I'm gonna something just like in my unconscious bothered me about this scene. So as you can see, something is going to happen. Here is the weapon, right? Which he really, you know, so and so, right?
Roll up the sheet.
All right. So here, as you can see, Parker is going to lead her. She's basically as if she's in trouble and she knows it. And that is the case, right? Here, she's looking at the legacy and she knows when she killed him, right? She killed Ash, humanity, that's humanity. And he was with humanity, while Ripley and Parker are on the other side, the blue side, right? So I don't know. Again, the blue side could be, like I said, the demons or fallen angels and so on, or it could be that side. Say, I don't know, not human, not human, but like something like secret, like Masonics and stuff like that. But no, I am coming to believe that there's unity. It's really one and the same. Parker, Ripley, and those guys, right? So I have seen enough evidence to believe that now. So now she knows she is finished, right? Right? Okay, this here, and that's the new point I have to make. It does look reminiscent of leading someone to execution. You get it? Like this guy or humanity is being led into execution. And that's what it is, right? An execution chamber. That's how they lead. If you watch those execution chamber processes, you will see that that's how they lead them. She's being led into an execution chamber, right? Her fate has been sealed. And now it's a matter of time. They set time in the court of time of executions. And now she's pressing the button, right? And he is leading her. Notice, that's reminiscent of watching a documentary or movies in which they portray almost exactly what happens when they lead a criminal into the execution chamber, right? And here, if you know, like he's carrying some canister, gas canister, right? And that is showing you, the brown color again, that he is invisible, right? Ripley can see him. But he's using those browns, right? Which means Middle Eastern, right? To carry out the work against humanity and so on, by dominating them and their ideas and so on, because she said she was cold, cold meaning she's dumb, right? I have better handle on that now. When on that Last Supper table, dinner table or food table, she said she was cold, right? And she was like drying her hair. I tried to guess, after bath, blah, blah, blah. But no, I think now that means that she's really cold in the head, right? Meaning she's just not understanding anything. And then here you see there's a canister, right? And red canister. I think that means the gas. So this is the gas chamber or something of the sort. And this guy can't wait. I mean, after a long wait, Ripley enables him, and then he burns that prophet or the guy who raised and lifted humanity from nothing to big thing, right? So now he sees, this is like, I got you, sucker. Reminds me of Morpheus when he was talking to Neo, when Neo was laying down and then he entered the room and exited the room. I explained that to you. But one laughing matter is that I thought when he fell down into a watery cavern, I thought this was like a birth, right? A birth. And then I explained it as birth, newly born and so on. And they pick him up with some kind of a hoist or something of the sort, like a wench or whatever, right? But then I changed my mind, and laugh all you want. I think that was the other exit. And then what I tried to explain as maps and so on is really sewers, right? So they dump him completely into the sewer, Neo, and then they lift him up after he's completely gone, right? And then he talks to him, Morpheus talks to him, and then he gives him that look as he exits the door. I explained that if you want to watch that, those commentaries I made about it. So here this guy is like, he cannot wait. notice there's like this look of vengeance, of violence, of fulfilling, you know, something that he couldn't do on his own, which was made possible by Ripley and Brett. I still don't have a handle on Brett, who he is. I explained to you as he was the assassin, or and for all I know, he could be Moses, you know. And with fire, right? Similar. This here is similar to Ripley when she burns Dallas and Moses. So Moses, you know, so Brett may be Moses in this movie, you know, in that hidden script, right? So that's it, you know, like it's very similar in context and view and idea, maybe, but here there's this sense of vengeance, right? Because he, Ash, in history, really neutralized Parker, right? He really neutralized him. And then for humanity, so now humanity lost its source of strength, because last I looked, he was the only one who salvaged humanity and raised them above, you know, this out of the swamp and so on. Because and then Ripley made it possible, of course, and Parker was just waiting for such an opportunity. Is that really truth across history as we know it back then and now? Partially true, but and in these days it appears as if there's something like that. But no, I mean, it's far from being conclusive. And in other words, he really wasn't burned. No, he got like scolded, or what is it? Singed, right? He was singed. You know, the prophet and his people and that religion, right? It's singed more than singed, but oh, it's alive and well. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. Go to the next note. So as I explained, I do think that Dallas is really Adam or God, either or, right here. But the Ripleys, do believe that God assimilates himself or hosts himself, you know, places himself in someone as a human being. You know, there is a singer, Osborne, right? A woman, long time ago. And she sings, "What if God was one of us," blah, blah, you know, and things of the sort, right? But I do see Nietzsche's idea of killing God and burning God and so on here. So here there is a, when it comes to Dallas, and then inheriting him, as you will see at the end, right? That he was killed, and the xenomorph as well. You know, like, so Nietzsche's opinion of God and how they fight against him and they want to burn him and blah, blah, you know, it plays out here. And believe it or not, even some of that is in the movie Eyes Wide Shut. I hope to, I'm searching for a disc to buy or something like that, used disc to buy. But when I explain that to you, you will see that they all these iconic movies, they hover and center and orbit the same concept: God and the devil, and the fight, and how the Ripleys try to work with the devil to destroy him, and you know, things of the sort. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next point. Again, they show Ash as an independent entity, right? And that entity is superior in power. That's why they, in their ideology, in their understanding of history and religions and personalities and dogmas and catechism and whatnot, they try to interpret things based on what they see. What they don't know is that what has been said by him is what really is going on. But they take that to think that there's deception there and blah blah and blah blah. I wouldn't do what they do, to be, you know, to be honest with you. All right, on the next point. Okay, I think I do have a better handle on the figurines, right? Those small puppets or small figurines, or you know, plastic figurines. I think because we know from history that in the prophet or that religion, that Prophet Muhammad and his army, were supported by unseen angels, right? And here, for example, let me show you, right? As he enters, he gets like those figurines descend from the sky, right? There you go, right? So you see them here. I don't know if that's relevant, but here, you know, I told you those slots and those things are like conscripts or brick in the walls per Pinky Floyd. Brick in the wall. All they are is brick in the wall. Like, all right. All right. So that's what it is. I think that's what they mean by those, is that they're angels from, they come down to help him, right? You see? Because they're like swinging around just around his head. All right. Okay. So here you see them trying to help him, right? Those figurines, those toys that are hanging from heavens, right? So that makes everything that is hanging from the ceiling as something that is connected to heavens or God or Allah, right? Meaningly, if they're microphones, he's listening. Meaningly, if they're cameras, he's looking. Meaningly, blah blah. It represents those dangling things from the ceiling represents connection or accessories or devices of Allah or God that he uses here, right? So what they're saying here is that red, right? And you can see here, right? So there's that here, and there's that here, right? The four, right? You know, the four, right? So here, the strength is coming from whoever it is that is coming from down from heaven, right? And this guy just can't even help it. Now here, they show you something that Ash, in this instance, can always beat Parker. I mean, if there was no fight among number of them, and then if he wasn't held, we can clearly see if he wasn't held back from behind the back, right? You know, hampered and grabbed and disabled or obstructed from the fight, he would have easily killed him and killed Hare, right? I mean, that's very obvious from this particular engagement here. Notice, you know. So here now, Parker, as I explained, comes from behind because if it wasn't for Lambert, who made this particular detrimental, elemental turn of events possible against Ash, they would not have gone anywhere. Not Parker, not Ripley, right? So they had to use her, right? And that's what she's doing. She's from behind, right? She's holding him from behind, hampering his efforts, right? And now he gets it from behind, right? Notice how he goes dark. And now the figurine is in fact being helpless here. You know, he was defeated. Okay, let's. All right. So now I have another theory. And it's a distinct possibility, right? But it's a distant possibility. It's highly unlikely. But I want to speculate about Ripley way behind the scene, that she is possibly cohorting and dealing with the xenomorph, you know, with the alien himself, and that's totally you know, like invisible in this movie, right? But there is that distinct possibility. Why am I saying this? Toward the end, it will show you. I will explain that toward the end. But like she is dealing with Parker and she destroys him, right? You will get what's coming to you. And he eventually gets killed by the xenomorph. There is that possibility because she meets and join the xenomorph in the shuttle. It appears to you as he's snuck in. Let's see about that. So the story may be as simple as a fight between angels and demons, or humans, right? And demons or angels. It depends on how you see it. So here there are two species, right? Two different creations at war. There's the Ripley and the Sarah, and there's the Lambert, which is, and Prophet Muhammad here. Okay, I'm going to repeat this very particular observation here because I think it's very important milestone in the hidden script behind this movie. Lambert here, as you see, as if she's also handcuffed, right? That's it. Humanity, once they were able to kill Ash or burn Ash, right? Or disable him, right? But they're going to burn him, right? She turns her back. Humanity has lost its source of strength and meaning, right? And now she's being led into, a chamber of whatever it is. I can tell you they will not show you that, right? They will not explain it directly, but that's what I'm seeing. Here, back to the camera means that's it. Humanity has ended. Basic and simple. Why? Because they lost the source of their strength. Now, Ash, as they're probably making the assumption, I'm sure it's Prophet Muhammad, but they're trying to say he's probably the archangel or something like that, he, as a supporter of humanity, has been killed and burned, while Parker is still alive, but he's being used by Ripley. Ripley embarked on a mission that is impossible to achieve for Sierra. So when Ash told her she has no chances of beating him, right? That she has his sympathy and she didn't appreciate his sarcasm and smacked him or slapped him, she committed a fatal error. And now I'm not commenting on the movie, I'm talking about real life. Those guys, the Ripleys, and the Parker for that matter, they made a fatal error because the events of today, I can clearly see what's going on. And trust me, they appeared out of hiding onto the horizon and things are not looking good. All right, one more note. I do believe, from what we've seen so far in my comments and my observation, is that Lambert or Sarah has showed by way of her statements when she was talking to him and Brett in that underground facility, right? That she really has planned on killing him, by the time they get to the end, that she kills him. Or either by having cohorted with the xenomorph, so she's going to get the xenomorph to kill him, and then she's going to kill the xenomorph at the end, right? Or set him up accidentally, right? She knew when she sent him and Lambert to get some canisters, that's like cash, right? And stock and whatnot, right? Right? That he's going to have that, he and Lambert are going to have that encounter, and they get destroyed. This is scene of execution chamber scene for Ripley, for Lambert, is really independent. Here, you see the beauty of this movie is that it's time, meaningly Lambert here is not Lambert before, and the scene here is discrete, is independent, is not related all the way together. It's completely desperate here and virtual, right? While if you look at Kubrick's movies, you catch a thread from the end and it goes the same thread, right? Nuances and variations and blah, blah, toward the end, right? Once you catch the thread, you catch it all together. You're able to roll it in and reel it in, and guess what? You'll find the meaning, right? But not this movie. This movie has a lot to say. Like, for example, here it's a humanity. Before that, it was Eve, and during the Last Supper, and, right? You see what I'm saying? So I do appreciate the production of this movie, but I obviously completely disagree about its contents and what it contains and what it alludes to, right? It's just, these guys are just daydreamers. So the Narcissus shuttle is either the White House, and both actually, they mean by it, So like I told you, there's multiple threads in this movie. So it's either the White House, and that's taken over and replacing it by the Magas, of Iran, you know, like this Khazarian thing in Iran, right, and Afghanistan. Now I want to give you a secret here, big secret. You know, you've heard of those criminals, right? The ones who butcher people willy-nilly and so on, of Afghanistan, called Hazara, right? Hazar and Hazara. Believe it or not, that means Khazara, or, you know, Khazar or Khazara, right? Khazarians, they're Khazarians. If you want to look at the remnant of the Khazarians today, they're in northern Afghanistan. Those Hazaras, right? Hazar or Hazaras. Yeah, you take it from the one who knows, right? And then out of them came Abdul Rashid Dostem and Ghani and so on and so forth. And oh boy, how they assisted the Soviets, the Russians when they invaded Afghanistan, right? And that there was not even Taliban, right? Oh, they murdered millions and millions, still do, right? Some of their acts, like murdering 17,000 soldiers of Taliban who surrendered in Mazar-e-Sharif, right? Put them in containers and sprayed them with bullets and killed them, right? So Hazaras are actually Khazara. And when you say like Gazara, that's also Khazara, right? Al-Khazar, Khazara, Khazar, right? Hazara. That's them. Well, partly, right? So I want to mention that I mentioned to you about the scene where Assad word, which is really a cat, right? And that's the dictators of Syria, father and son, right? And he was there in 1979. He took over, right? But then he is behind Ripley, who's Sarah. Or if she's a devil, then that's her offspring or on her side. So you see Assad behind the head of Ripley. I showed you that in the previous video. So the cat here, Jonesy, may be them, but then they're trying to take whatever uh, Cain possessed by going down onto the derelict ship, right? Which is way prior in time, right? And there is an attempt, right? Prior in time epoch in history. And here they're trying to yank it out, right? And then put it into uh, 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 into into Jonesy, who is the cat, right? A Jewish cat. John's name, Eunice, is really a Jewish name, right? Ripley's name. So I do believe, so the Assads either they're they're confirming that he is of Sarah's camp, or he's like them, such as I explained here, is a not really human. He's of the blue type, right? But then the whole operation was to yank out that xenomorph, which is inhibiting uh, settled what they call hulul, or placement, you know, that God descends and places himself in a human and so on, as I explained earlier in this video, right? And now they're trying to yank it from Cain, who's dumbass, right? You know, like I am from Syria, and maybe that's me, you know, Cain, you know, stupid. And they want to take whatever it is and give it to Assad, right? Or give it to this guy, Jew Lani, Golani, or Julani, right? Ain't gonna happen. It didn't happen anyway. So anyways, sorry for the pun, but I had to make that point. Give me a second. There's something else I wanted to say is that Balaji, which is on the cigarette, right? That cigarette pack of cigarettes, right? Called Balaji. You know, he's wearing a turban and smoking that long pipe, right? I think sometimes, I am not sure, and I'm not bringing this into the mix now, I don't want to upset, but it's possible that Balaji really means, also looks like Stalin. You know, he smoked always pipe and so on. But why would they want to make him dress, wear a turban, right? If you look at the pack of cigarettes, I explained it in a number of videos. I think because he comes from Ripley's line, which at the ancient time, you know, like the children of Israel and so on, they wore turbans, you know, just like Arabs, right? Maybe that's what it is, but, you know, is that a clear assumption, you know? And then he got burned, and then I don't know, but it just, cannot, I cannot remove that possibility from my psyche that Balaji maybe, started. So, the smoking pipe means smoke them, right? And then, so you mix like the pipe smoker and Ayatollah Khomeini, right? I call him Kakamini, and so on, and there goes, and then Assad, and so on. So you see that here, it's like a little bit apparent of that thing that is growing out of the Middle East, not the Middle East, rather than Iran, Afghanistan, Russia, and Assad, and so on and so forth, right? And then Julani or Golani. All right, all right. All right, I'm going to stop here, and then I think this is video number 13A. I may go for the ending of the movie in the next video, unless I really notice something very detrimental or very crucial in the hidden script of this movie, such as this, she is being, like her Twilight is here, being destroyed, being executed, her back is to the camera. That's what that means, I think. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Here, she is humanity. Back there, humans are apparently dumb. Why? Because they do not really, are unable to conceptualize or understand what they are, right? She sees human beings, right? When they are not, and that's her weak point, right? That's her weak point. And, we know this from there's a verse in the Quran that says, that's Satan, right? And his cabal or qabil, the word cabal comes from the Arabic word qabil, right? It sees you from where you don't see them, right? And that's here what that is, right? Probably from that verse, right? And again, I don't know what the heck these are. Maybe execution chambers instructions or whatever, right? I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna end this video here, and hopefully I'll get the other video sometime, maybe tomorrow, So today is February 1st, 25, 8:24 p.m. and this is your host, Usa. Have a nice day. Bye now.